Hello everyone, welcome to today's class, which is titled Literary Theory and Introduction. So from the title itself, I hope you understand that this is going to be an introductory class towards literary theory. Literary theory, if you have ever observed the papers, question papers of UGC NET or any state set, would consist of a very major portion of the question paper, right? And also I've observed many students finding it very difficult to understand the literary theory. Only when you understand literary theory you can understand one text in multiple ways. Unless and until you understand literary theory, I don't think you would be a complete student of literature, because literary theory also helps us to understand, analyze and perceive a text in not one but in multiple ways. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, now literary theory. First and foremost thing, as I've already mentioned, literary theory is particularly used to interpret literature. All right, so whenever I talk about literature, we also see that every individual interprets a particular text in multiple ways. So it is the literary theory which helps an individual to interpret any literary text. As I've already mentioned, it offers various perspectives. So, when a literary theory is studied, after you study literary theory, if you look into a text, you can understand it in multiple. You can have multiple perceptions of the text. That is what I wanted to say. So it underlines the principles of complex subjects. So what literary theory does is, when a text is becoming much more complex, even then you can understand it. For example, if you take the text Waiting for Godot, all right, by Samuel Beckett. So what does Waiting for Godot, the theme of it, it is actually built on the existential theory, right? But existential theory, and also it is an absurd literature. It belongs to the theater of absurd. All right, so when you study literary theory, only then you can understand the theory of existentialism, and also you can understand the theater of absurdity, and then only then you can completely analyze and even understand the perspective of the author and what is he trying to describe through the text to the readers, right? But if you haven't read any of these texts, and you have just picked up the text of Waiting for Godot and tried to read it, you will not be understanding what existential theory would be, what theater of absurdity would be. And I don't think you can understand Waiting for Godot in a way that it is meant to be understood, right? So, and the next point is, it explores the evolution of genres. So genres, what are the different kinds of genres we talk about? There can be romance, there can be tragedy, there can be comedy, there can be tragicomedy, and so on and so forth. But only when you understand which particular school the book belongs to, that only when you understand a text completely, only when you see a text through multiple lenses, only then you can understand which genre it belongs to, right? So if you have read Hamlet, if you have read one particular instance of Hamlet, and you don't know what is the school it belongs to, you would not be placing it under tragedy. Hamlet is one of Shakespeare's very important tragedies, right? So the key concept, the key aspect of literary theory would be the ability to adapt. It's not adopt, it's adapt, like to make it one's own, to ability to change according to the need of it, adapt, evolve over time, incorporating new ideas, methodologies from other disciplines. So what this means is, literary theory has the ability to learn from new whatever the things that are coming newly. Literary theory would be adapting them and evolving accordingly. So for example, before the communist era there was no Marxism, right? So if there was no Marxism, if Karl Marx has not put out the idea of Marxism, there is no theory of Marxism that would be put into place. Then there would be no lens of Marxism where you can understand the text. But once the Marxism is put into place, people began to understand not just the text that came after the concept of Marxism, but even the text that came before the movement of Marxist movement. People began to see those texts with the lens of Marxism. See, even before feminism was put into place, people the works released before the movement of feminism began to be understood by the people through the lens of feminism. So that's what it does. It evolves over time, and it also evolves to a larger extent that it covers all the areas, all the periods of time. And also, we were talking about something like it also incorporates new ideas and methodologies from other disciplines. For example, psychoanalysis. If we see Freud's, and Carl Jung, these are very important theories of psychoanalysis, and the subject would be psychology. If you see philosophy, many of our theories that we would be discussing in our later chapters would be clashing so much with the concept of philosophy, with the subject of philosophy. There are topics that we incorporate from the discipline of linguistics, anthropology, and so on and so forth. So literary theory would be a larger umbrella term wherein almost every area of study would be incorporated in it. So that would be one of the key features or key aspects of literary theory. And then we see that it has undergone several transformations influenced by the historical movements. As I have just discussed the concept that before the Marxism, no Marxist study has been done. Before feminism, no feminist study has been done. So once it's the historical movement begins, theory also is put into place. So it has the theory undergoes a lot of transformation. See, if you observe the theory of feminism, there are four waves of feminism. Okay, and I don't think you expect the four waves to begin at the very same time, right? The four waves, they kind of evolved over time with the kind of demands the feminists used to make. There was first wave of feminism, second wave, third wave, and fourth wave. There are also certain kind of feminism like the black feminism, or there would be many other kinds we would be discussing in later chapters as well. But as of now, if you understand this topic, it the literary theory basically gets influenced by the historical movements. Okay, whenever something happens, that movement influences the literature produced during that period, and the literature produced in that movement would be influencing the literary theory. Got it? First of all, you have to note it down when I write it. The historical movement influences what? The literature of that time, and then the literature of that time influences the lit theory. Okay, of that time. And that time doesn't mean that the literary theory is only applicable to the literature of that time. It might be applicable to the literature produced previously, or even to the literature produced later on during the phases. For example, if anyone produces a text which would be with the protagonist as a female and the plights of the female and so on and so forth, we still study it in under the feminist perspective, right? So after all this, what we understand is that literary theory is basically, in a word, is a lens used by the people to analyze certain work. So if we put on feministic lens, we observe a work, we analyze a work through a certain way. If we put on Marxist lens, we understand the work through certain way. If we put on the lens of new criticism, the new criticism would be the theory we will be discussing later on. The video next to this video would be about new criticism. So if you observe new criticism or reader response theory, there are so many theories, guys, and I hope you understand this video, so that this video acts as a base towards the other videos coming later, so that you can understand all those theories as well. So before understanding all those theories, you should have an idea of what literary theory is and what are the purposes that we use literary theory in literature. All right. So what I just mentioned was it is used by people as a lens to understand, analyze a certain work. So in general, we through literature, or sorry, through literary theory, we study the form, theme, the age in which it is said, the setting of the play, and so on and so forth. So these are the aspects we study through literary theory. And at the end of the day, so it's a dynamic, multifaceted field. Got it? So it's dynamic. What does the word dynamic mean? It's ever changing. All right. That's what we discussed. It's adapting and evolving over time, right? And it's multifaceted. So we have discussed that it has multiple meanings, and also multiple meanings, and all also multi-layered meanings. Got it? So the meaning could be hidden in a, there might be a single meaning which is very evident, and another meaning which is a connotative meaning could be hidden. All right. So the multiple meanings could be multi-layered meaning as well. So it is a dynamic, multifaceted field that provides a framework for analyzing and interpreting literature. So literary theory is actually totally a framework which is designed to analyze and interpret literature. So that is it. I hope you understand the entire concept of why literary theory is so important and what are the purposes that we use literary theory in literature for. So this is the timeline of literary theory. These are the literary theories that we are going to discuss further in the coming up videos. There is classical theory would be about Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and so on. And if you observe about the Marxism or psychoanalysis, formalism is where formalism is like a certain branch from which Russian formalism or structuralism and new criticism emerge. Okay, these are certain these are all the other theories that we are going to be discussing, and these theories would be very important for your net examination that's coming up. It's so important that if you observe the pattern of question paper that has been set from, I don't know, even from 5 to 6 years that I have observed would be the major portion would be about literary theory, guys. So I don't think you should be taking this lightly. This is very, very important. And also we are going to discuss all these theories in a complete detailed format, and also about all the critiques, their terms, their books in which they discuss the terms would be discussed further in this very channel. So if you like to learn about all these concepts in a very detailed way, I would suggest you to subscribe to the channel, and we'll meet again with another video.